Hey guys, and oh my goodness, it's already time for our May wrap-up. But without further ado, let's get into it.
So I actually ended up reading 11 books this month, which sounds like a lot, but I currently have a job where I can listen to audiobooks all day, so most of those books were actually audiobooks, so let's get into it. So the first book that I read in May was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. Then I was also rereading the Hunger Games trilogy, and I got through Catching Fire and the Mockingjay audiobooks. Then the first book that I actually read was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by, who was it by? Leslie Walton. Then I finished the Lunar Chronicles books with Cress by Marissa Mayer. Then I listened to Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. Then I moved on to Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. Then I read The Moon and More by Sarah Dessen. And lastly, I ended the month with The Never-Ending Story by Michael Ende. Oh, and I almost forgot, I finished Persepolis 2, or I actually haven't quite finished it, but I think by the time I actually post this video, it will be finished. Persepolis 2 by Marjane Satrapi.
So, I read a pitiful 2 books this month, and they were The Outcast of Redwall by Brian Jacques, and Slated by Terry Terry.
So it is kind of slightly pitiful. We didn't get through as many books as we wanted. The only reason it looks like I have such a large amount, as I said, is because I'm able to listen to audiobooks for the majority of my workday with the nature of the work that I do. I actually only got to 3 books, and one of them, like that I just pointed out, Persepolis 2, I actually not quite finished with, but it's a pretty fast read, so I think by the time, I still got a couple more days of May left, so I think by the time we put this video up, I will have read it, so I'm counting that one. Yeah, it's just been a little crazy this last month, as we mentioned at the beginning of the month, so hopefully we will be getting a little more reading done this summer in general. As always, it is really difficult for me to pick a top 3 out of the books that I read during the month, because usually I pick out pretty good ones, if I do say so myself. And there's always something I want to say about all of them, of course. But first of all, I did want to mention the Hunger Games books, because these were a reread for me. The first time I read these were actually while I was still in school, and I kind of read them really fast because I didn't have a lot of time while I was in school. I was quite busy. So this was a reread at a slower pace, so that was really nice. I think the films are the thing that people mainly see or think about when they think of the Hunger Games, which is understandable because that stuff is everywhere. And the books are really disturbing. Like, I think the movies kind of sensationalize it quite a bit, which is typical of movies, but the books actually do have a lot of really interesting observations and things in them. And yeah, I think that really struck me reading it a second time through. Another one of my favorite reads this month was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender, which was also kind of well, it was strange. It was definitely a strange book and slightly disturbing at the end. Not going to give any spoilers away, but yeah, I think it just kind of struck me because it was different than, it was very poetic, and it was different than what I normally read, so it was just kind of a nice break from, and I think that's why I liked it so much, even though it was kind of creepy near the end. So yeah, that was the other one. The last book that really struck me this month was The Never-Ending Story by Michael Ende, and yeah, that was really interesting because I know a lot of us, and myself included, grew up with the Never-Ending Story movie, which was based on this book, and the book was very similar. The first half was very similar to the movie, but the movie actually ends halfway through the book or so, and what follows is really interesting and kind of bizarre and very dreamlike and strange. I gave it a relatively low score on Goodreads because, yeah, I gave it like 3 stars out of 5 because I kind of found myself, I listened to it on audiobook, and I kind of found myself not really like checking to see where I was at because I was kind of bored through some of the sequences and stuff that happens are really strange. I think I made you a review on this one possibly as well because it was interesting, but it was really strange. The guy who did the narrating of this store of the Neverending Story actually also did the narrations for the Aragon audiobooks, and I really like his voice, so it was kind of almost worth listening to it just because I think he's really does a good job, and yeah, it made me want to look up other audiobooks that he may have narrated.
Okay, so I only have 2 books, so I guess let's talk about a book. So, Outcast of Redwall, not bad, but not super good. I mean, all the Redwall books start to feel the same once you read like 5 of them. Then like they just all feel the same, not so fun and exciting. So kind of the same with this one, but still enjoyable, I guess. And Slated, yeah, I really like that one too. It's pretty interesting. But I still think you should read Slated because it is pretty good. So overall, not a good month because I barely got to read anything, and one of the books was kind of but not bad either.
So overall, we both kind of had a mediocre reading month. I was kind of hoping it would turn out better than I expected, but I think it actually turned out a little bit worse than I expected.
Yeah.
Just because, yeah, it was just crazy, what with family graduations and other things going on this month. So we're really hoping that, and we should actually be able to get a little more reading done this summer. There's a ton of books that I'm really excited to open up, and I hope that I will find some really good ones to read. I'm really ready for a really good book, and I think you are too.
Yep.
So with that, we will see you next time with another video. Bye!